of you have never been here before? Just out of curiosity? Wow, well, welcome. I'm Chris Bovos. I'm the Bariatric Coordinator for the program out here. And we do 2 support groups a month. The calendar's over there on that round table if you want to come again. And I do want you to know that every support group, if it's videotaped, we post that, and I always write up the minutes and the information from every meeting, and that is also posted. And those can be found on the surgeon's website, which is kcbariatric.com. And at the top, you'll see patient support. And if you click on that, it'll pull down a list of things, and it has the videos, it has the different support groups. You can go back and read the information we've been sharing since, what, 2015? So all those support groups are in there. And so if you don't make it to one, you're still getting the information, and that's our goal, is that you still get to participate at least in hearing what we've talked about. It's always a lot more fun when everybody shows up because it's just gives you an opportunity to talk to other people that have gone through the program. But today is really focused on people who are at least a year out, have lost all their weight, and then found that it's coming back, that weight regain that everybody fears from day one, but they're struggling with it. And so Laura and I have done a lot of research on weight regain programs, and the one that I have found that made the most sense to me is by Kay Bailey. This is her book, The 5-Day Pouch Test, and it works for all different surgeries, not just a bypass. But she had the bypass back in the 90s, and so she has the lived experience of the surgery, regaining weight, and she has devoted the rest of her life to helping people through that journey. And so that's what today's talk is based on. You can buy this for $9.99 on Amazon. And she has other books too. This is day 6, Beyond the 5-Day Pouch Test, which basically just reinforces a lot of the information in this first book, and has a lot of recipes. And then she also has recipe books. I really want to stress, if you have had your surgery less than a year ago, do not do this program that we're going to talk about today. This is not designed for you. If you're continuing to still lose weight, this is not designed for you, okay? This is designed for people that have gotten their weight down to where they wanted it to, or got it down as far as it would go, and then slowly but surely have started regaining, okay? But if you are under a year out and you're having trouble with your weight stalling, or you're having trouble with weight regain at that point, you need to meet with one of our clinicians on the 3rd floor, our dietitians, our physical therapists, or our psychologists, okay? Because there's something else that's working at that. It's not about what we're going to talk about today, okay? So if it doesn't apply to you, you're welcome to listen, but don't do this, okay? So, you probably all sat down and started reading this, but I want to read what she says at the beginning of her book. How many of you sat through the pre-surgery class and heard weight loss surgery is only a tool? So did she. And this is her story from her gastric bypass in 1999. Weight loss was easy for me at first. I was fortunate to have no complications, and the weight came off quickly. I reached goal weight in the first year. I started a formal exercise program 14 days after surgery, and I was extremely compliant with dietary guidelines. I was a role model patient driven by the greatest determination I had ever known. I followed the 4 rules as if they were commandments. High protein diet, drink lots of water, avoid snacking, enjoy physical activity. Okay? How many of you relate to that? Okay. How many of you heard the surgery is a tool, and in your mind went, I hope this is going to cure me. This is going to be a cure for me. Okay? The transformation was profound. Not only had I shed 130 pounds, I had shed that downtrodden, self-loathing person for a new, healthy, confident, trim woman. I held that weight for 3 years and I thrived. But like so many others, a little bit here, a little bit there, and the weight started coming back. Perhaps I was careless with my food choices, or perhaps I was rebellious against the surgery and the pouch. Maybe there was too much celebrating, too much stress, too much to do, and no time to take care of myself. I ignored a 5-pound gain. It was only 5 pounds, right? I quit visiting the bathroom scale and I ignored the tightening feeling of my clothing, and soon the 5-pound gain was 30 pounds. Okay? How many of you relate to that part? Okay. I was embarrassed, angry, and felt totally, hopelessly out of control. The old wicked diet pattern of losing and gaining, the very pattern that I believed surgery would cure, was back in my life. I could not believe I had become someone who gained weight back after surgery. How did this happen to me? How did I become one of those people? It is one thing to regain weight after losing on a mainstream diet. Everyone expects regain after conventional weight loss. After all, diets don't work, right? But a regain of weight after surgery is devastating. And part of that is because it begins to feel almost like a punishment, okay? And it feels like a very lonely road. Everybody's celebrating with you when you first start losing weight, and they're patting you on the back, and that feels wonderful. And then that stops. And then there you are with your tiny little stomach, and you can't eat a whole lot, and that begins to feel lonely. That begins to feel a little like you're isolated. Everybody else is doing this, and I'm doing this, okay? What you have to do is, or what this program is designed to do, is to get you back to the mindset that you had right after surgery, okay? Sorry. And that's what this is, the goal of this is. So, one of the things that she talks about is, think about all the things you couldn't do before surgery, okay? People, it's very easy when you're feeling good to forget how bad it felt when you started this journey, okay? It's like anything, and once it becomes more distant and more distant in the past, you forget the things that brought you to have the surgery in the first place. It's like childbirth. You know, everybody would have one child if we remembered how bad it hurt when we went through labor. Okay? But the joy that you have from that child drowns out those memories, and then you're willing to go through that again because suddenly it doesn't feel so bad anymore. There's seats right up here if anybody wants any. There's a couple seats there. And as I said, I sit in support groups and I listen to people tell me, you know, I couldn't cross my legs before. I couldn't tie my shoes. All these things that they couldn't do before, and they still feel like failures because they regained some weight. It's that failure mindset that you've had for so many years of struggling with weight. That just doesn't go away right away. Anytime you gain some weight, all those come boiling right back up. Okay? So it's a funny thing the way the mind works. The healthier we become, the less we remember how truly sick we were before surgery and before weight loss. And she points out some things you need to remember. Obesity is a disease. Weight loss puts the disease into remission. Weight gain puts the disease in relapse. Oh. Are they here for the support group? Oh. Okay, I guess there's a bunch of people that thought this was upstairs. I don't know why, but if they've never been here before, that could be a problem. Okay, so back to weight loss puts it into remission, weight gain puts it into relapse. Okay, I have high blood pressure. I've had high blood pressure for 20 years. I take a pill every day, and I take a pill every day, and I never miss a day because I know what the results of having high blood pressure can be. I've been a dialysis nurse. I've watched it blow people's kidneys out. I know that it can cause dementia, vascular dementia. I know what it does to your heart. I know what it does to all the different parts of my body. And so I take my blood pressure medicine every day, and that's very easy. Not so with obesity. You can't take a pill and then not worry about it, okay? What you can do is you can get a tool, and then you have to do those things that will prevent the diseases that obesity causes. And just as a quick reminder, it causes cancer. It increases your risk for cancer, heart disease, diabetes, dementia, all kinds of things, and degenerative joint disease, okay? So get back in that mindset of, I don't want to live my life that way. I don't want to have those diseases in my life. I want to be able to live, oh good Lord, longer than, I want to live longer than that. Yeah,
this proves how much this is needed by the amount of people that are here. You have to do it more often.
Those who suffer disease are responsible to make dietary and lifestyle changes that work in tandem with the medical treatment to keep our disease in remission. Like most diseases, relapses occur and they manifest in weight gain. We are never limited in the number of times we can actively affect behaviors to put it back into remission. That is a really important point, okay? Just because you've regained 30 pounds doesn't mean you can't start over and do this again, okay? And that tool is still there, it will still work, and that's what this program is about. It's about teaching you how to go back and learn how to control and use that tool again. This program is not designed in these 5 days for you to lose weight. Do not think that it is. That's not what it's about. It's about teaching you how to use the tool again so then you can begin losing weight over again, okay? But I don't want anybody to think that in 5 days you're going to lose those 30 pounds. It's not going to happen, okay? If it was that good, I'd be skinny. And I am not skinny. So, most importantly, you are not the disease of obesity. You have the disease of obesity, okay? You already know how courageous and powerful you are. You learned that when you underwent surgery. Anybody in here knows that wasn't an easy decision and that wasn't an easy journey. You went through a lot and you spent a lot of money getting here, getting to the surgery, okay? Now you need to invest in keeping that, what you've already invested in your time and in your money. You need to make an investment in that tool again, okay? Pull out all your strength and all your reserves and let's do this together. And for those of you who came in late, everything that I'm going to talk about is in this book. It's called the 5-Day Pouch Test Owner's Manual. And it's written by Kay Bailey, who had the surgery, who had bypass surgery in 1999, lost 130 pounds. Oh, sorry, I'm waving it at you and you can't get a focus on it. Here, Diane. Deanna, I don't mind calling you Diane.
Thank you.
You can buy this on Amazon for $9.99. Okay?
Is it listed in here?
Yes.
On the first page.
Yes. And I think it's on the back page too. So, yes. Okay? So, we're going to do this together. We're going to do these 5 days together. And the first thing to keep in mind is the goal is to just not to eat until you feel restriction. One of the biggest things I hear from people is, well, I don't feel any restriction. Okay. Does that mean you just keep eating until you feel restriction? No. You know how much you should be able to eat. Portion control is crucial. Okay? And yes, if you overeat on a regular basis, you can stretch that a little bit. But you can also unstretch that a little bit. Okay? Just like with a balloon. If you blow the balloon up really tight, you're going to have a lot of space. But when you let that air out, that balloon shrinks back. Well, so does your stomach. It's elastic like that. Okay? So just because you can force it to force a lot of food into it doesn't mean you should. But people get this idea that they need to feel restriction like they did right after surgery. No. What you need to do is learn how to manage your portions so that doesn't happen. Okay? The goal is to learn the difference between feeling restriction and feeling satisfied. Okay? So, the first thing we're going to do is to prepare for these 5 days. And you're not going to start these 5 days today. You're going to start them when you've got 5 days where you can really focus on this. So ladies, if your period's coming up, don't do it. Okay? Don't put yourself through that. Just wait until you've got 5 days where life isn't crazy and you can prepare and you can do all of these steps at once. And so the first thing is you're going to learn the plan, which is what we're going to do today. Then you're going to pick a date, okay, that allows you to follow it without disruption. Like I said, such as travel, social events, or hormonal cycles. You're going to become a support to someone else, okay? It's really important to have support when you go through these things, just like you had when you first went through the surgery. You had a support system, and if you didn't, you came here for your support, okay? But find someone that you want to support, because in supporting someone else, we're much better about following the plan. Prepare by planning meals for all 5 days and do all your grocery shopping before starting. Don't go to the grocery store during these 5 days. Okay? Build mental readiness. Meditate or journal on why you're doing this and what you want to accomplish. Practice self-kindness and look forward to embarking on the repair process. One of the things that we're going to be doing next month is some Tai Chi, which is both meditative and strength building. But it's very easy on your joints. Meditation, to me, is one of the greatest things that we don't use in this country. And by meditating, you begin to learn how to de-stress. And that's really important when you're going through something like this. And one of the apps that I found on my phone is called 10% Happier. It was started by Dan Harris, who is actually a journalist on television. And he had an anxiety attack on camera one day. And he even shows it on the website. And he started meditating and found it worked so well for him that he then got into the whole practice and learning from other people. And they have all kinds of meditations that you can do on there. And they sort of talk to you about it and why it works, and then take you through a meditation. And it's a wonderful site. I use the free part, so I don't get into I don't pay for all the special meditations. But you can meditate 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however you want to do that. And it's very helpful for de-stressing, helping to bring back mindfulness into your life, and you might find that very helpful as you're going through this. And then if you find that helpful, keep doing it, because we could all use less stress in our lives and find other ways to de-stress besides eating, okay? And if that's not what you like, then find something else to do. Journal. A lot of people find writing gratitude journals where you simply think about all those things you're very grateful for in your life. If you focus on gratitude every day, instead of all the things that you can't do or that you don't have, and you get yourself into that negative mindset, by doing gratitude, you shift that into a very positive mindset. So think about all those things you're very grateful for in your life, from family to the weight you have lost, the things that you can do that you couldn't do before, okay? So you want to start making a mental shift with all of this. And as I said, don't use this as a quick way to drop a few pounds and then think you can go back to eating the way you did and anything's going to change. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, it's not going to happen. If you want a different result, you have to change what you're doing. Okay? So let's look at just a short review of what you're going to be doing on these 5 days. The first 2 days are healing days, and the goal is to reduce the inflammation in the pouch or the sleeve and allow the cravings for the processed carbs to subside. I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of listening to webinars about inflammation, because basically all disease comes from inflammation. And that's a result of what we put in our bodies. And one of the biggest, I don't know how to say this nicely, one of the biggest things that the food industry has done to the people in this country is they have destroyed the food, okay? All of your processed food is unhealthy. They're empty calories, they're full of sugar, and the #1 inflammatory you can put in your body is sugar. And everybody's going, oh, but I love it. So do I. But I also know what it does to my body. And I have the lived experience in my family of living with a husband for the last 40 years who has to have his sweets and is now suffering with a lot of inflammatory disease. So you have to think about what you're putting in your mouth as the building blocks for your body. If you're putting into your body things that cause it to be inflamed, that cause it to crave the bad things, then at some point you have to stop that. And that's what this is going to help you do with these first couple of days. You've got a lot of, if you've regained weight, you've got inflammation, okay? So our goal these first 2 days is to reduce that inflammation and sort of get through that carb craving period, okay? Then we're going to introduce on day 3 some soft proteins and get you back to mindful eating. And that's when we're going to focus on portion control and liquid restrictions with meals and start beginning to feel satisfied as opposed to feeling restriction. I want you to stop thinking about eating to restriction. I want you to start thinking about eating until you're satisfied. Day 4, we're going to introduce firm proteins. You should be mostly through your carb withdrawal at that point, and your energy should begin to improve because you may be a little tired these first few days. And then on day 5, you're going to continue that liquid restriction and continue with solid proteins, and your slider foods should be gone, and you should be a little more aware of when you're satisfied, okay? What I want you to really focus on during this time is, how does your body feel when you eat, okay? What do you feel after you've eaten? And then day 6, you're going to go back to the way we've taught you to eat with your 3 meals a day. And protein first, and not drinking with your meals, and not snacking. Those same rules that we've always told you to do. But in these 5 days, hopefully, you will realize exactly what you realized right after surgery. It doesn't take much to make you feel satisfied. And if you follow these rules, you're gonna be more conscious and more mindful of how you're eating and what you're eating. So, and then you'll go back to your eating your lean protein, same goal, 60 to 100 grams of protein a day, drinking your 64 ounces of water, no carbonated beverages, avoid your snacking, and engage in 30 minutes of activity. You all know those rules. You've all had them preached at you for a long time, and we're going to go back to that after these 5 days. Now, she refers to slider foods in a different way than we do. What she calls slider foods are not the things that slide on through easily. What she calls slider foods are all those processed things that your body just instantly converts to sugar, and so you never feel full. And things like crackers, pretzels, those snacky things that you just sit there and you just keep eating. And you never feel full from them because they just kind of disintegrate in your system really quickly. But one of the things to remember is when they're doing that, what they're changing to is glucose. Glucose is your body's fuel. When everything, all your cells need glucose in order to work. And the only way glucose can move from your bloodstream into the cells is with insulin. Insulin is what transports the glucose into your cells, okay? And if you're eating foods that instantly turn into glucose, that's what your body's going to use because it's readily available. If you don't eat those things, your body has to work harder to get the glucose, and it's going to break down fat. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? So you want to eat the things that your body has to work harder at. You don't want those things that your body makes, that you eat, that are instantly turned into glucose. That's really what it's about. Yes?
So like, you're saying we have glucose stored in our body?
Yes, in your liver.
Okay.
It's stored in the form of glycogen, and then your liver, whenever you need some energy, gives that up. Okay? Your body can produce the glucose it needs from it. First, it will take it from the food that you eat if it's real easy to access, The next thing it will take it from is fatty tissue. And the last thing it will take it from is muscle. And you don't want it doing that. You want to preserve that lean muscle. Okay? So if you look at a food, the faster your body can turn it into glucose, the worse it is for you. Okay? Does that make sense? Does that explain it better? Okay. So think about those things as you're going through this. Yes?
What if your body don't make insulin?
If you're type 1,
I'm a type 2, but I've had it for a long time.
okay,
So they told me I was taken off of it, but
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I was taken off of it after my surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But then my primary head on this and I was whatever.
If your body doesn't make any insulin, you're not a type 2 diabetic. You're a type 1.
Well, I guess now that I wasn't like
Okay? Then this insulin holds fat. There's no two ways about it.
and that's why I'm gaining.
Right. And the way you get rid of that is you have to reduce the reason you need the insulin.
So
Okay?
if I can do this even though my body don't.
I would not want you to without consulting with the dietitian or with me as you did it. Yeah, you need to be watched as you're doing that. Okay? Okay, so, and the old liquid restriction is still in there, and that's 30 minutes before, during, and after. Okay, you're still not going to drink during those times. So let's look at days 1 and 2. Yes.
It says here, follow the rule even when you drink protein shake, protein bar, protein snack, or hard soup. Would eating soup be the same as drinking
No.
water with your meal?
No, it doesn't. When you drink water with even if you're eating soup, you're just washing whatever you put in there right on through. Okay? These are hearty soups, and they've got a lot of nutrition in them, and you're going to be able to absorb a lot more nutrition if it's allowed to stay there for 30 minutes. If you drink a glass of water with that soup, it's going right on through and you're not getting your nutrition. Okay? Water, when you drink fluids with anything, it's just gonna let it go right on through. People don't realize that sometimes all they have to do is stop that drinking with their meals. A ton of people come to me, and that's the reason that they've regained weight. You've got to stop before, during, and after a meal, okay? And these, this first 2 days when it says it's liquids, these are not liquids like when you first had surgery. This isn't like broth. This isn't like protein shakes. This is, you can have some clear broth and you can have creamy soups. And you can have your protein shakes, but you can also have hearty soups, things that have vegetables, legumes, animal protein, dairy, those kinds of things are fine, okay? So like a lentil soup, I personally love all the organic Amy's soups, if you've ever tried that brand. They're really delicious, they're organic ingredients, and they're full of vegetables, and they're really good for you. So some of the options are listed there, but here are the rules. You may have as many liquid meals as needed in response to hunger, okay? But a meal is 1 cup, that's it, okay? You can eat only what you can eat in 15 minutes, which is not what you've been taught. We've been teaching you to slow down and eat and stretch it out over 30 minutes. I want you to eat only what you can eat in 15 minutes. I want you to wait 30 minutes before you then drink any fluids. And you have to wait at least 1 hour before you have another meal, which is another cup of fluid, of only how much you can eat in 15 minutes, okay? Is that confusing? Yeah.
Question I have is, what if your hunger never returned after surgery? Like,
If your hunger never returned, consider yourself lucky. I don't know what else to say.
you're still finding a way to gain, so that's not an issue. I'm just saying, it says you eat when you have hunger pains, but
Uh-huh. So when do you eat?
whenever I'm by the vending machine, which is why I'm gaining weight, so.
Okay. You just need to not go near a vending machine.
If you were to do this, then it says only to eat when you have a hunger pain. Would you just do a set schedule?
No. I guess I would just tell you to do this 3 times a day, or every couple of hours. But how do you know you're full?
I do only eat portions, like I do measurements.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. It probably has more to do with pretzels, okay? That's exactly right. And you're not going to be eating any of those on here, okay? Because that's a slider food. Okay, so there's some options that are listed here. There's a breakfast smoothie. There's a couple of soups listed there, a couple of recipes. Okay, any hearty soup like that is fine. Black bean soup is great. Turkey chili from Wendy's is also just fine. So those are the kinds of things I want you to eat. You know, have a protein shake or a smoothie in the morning. But like I said, a cup is all you're going to take. You drink a smoothie for breakfast, all you want is that 8 ounces, okay? And if you can't drink that 8 ounces within an hour, you throw the rest away. The same thing goes, and then if an hour later you're hungry, then you can have another meal of 1 cup. Yes?
How about coffee? Like, I was not a coffee drinker, and I found that in the last 6 months I started drinking more coffee.
Okay. Do you put anything in your coffee?
I mean, just a little bit of one of those, real sugar, like
Okay. Coffee is a liquid, so it goes in the liquid category. You can't have any 30 minutes before a meal with the meal with 30 minutes after.
Can you have coffee with this?
Sure.
This week?
Sure, absolutely. It just counts as a liquid. Okay? Okay, so the one thing I want you to really focus on is how does your stomach feel while you're doing this? That for those 2 days, okay? Really notice a sense of if you're satisfied. You know, if at the end of that hour you're really not hungry, you certainly don't have to eat again. It's just based on what you feel at that point in time. Okay, so that's what you're going to do for 2 days. You're going to be on that quote-unquote liquid diet. Okay, and that's going to help heal the inflammation in that stomach. Then when you get to day 3, you're going to start with your soft proteins, things like tuna fish, salmon, your low sodium deli meats, eggs, yogurt, cottage cheese, 1 ounce cheese servings, ½ a cup of refried beans. Again, you're going to restrict yourself to 1 serving, and you're going to measure either 1 cup in volume or 4 to 6 ounces if it's a meat dish or fish or something like that. Okay, that's your amount. And again, you're only going to eat until you feel satisfied. You're going to eat what you can eat in 15 minutes, and then you're going to throw the rest away. Be mindful of what you eat and how you move your body, how your energy levels rise or fall. Again, don't drink 30 minutes before, during, or after a meal. This says, or protein snack. I don't want you to snack, okay? I don't subscribe to that. But the main thing is you're only going to eat on a dry stomach. Again, so you're not going to drink and then eat. You're going to eat on a dry stomach, okay? And then Wait at least an hour before you eat again. And restrict yourself again to that 1 cup or that 4 to 6 ounces. You're going to stay away from fruits and vegetables until day 6, with a few exceptions. She's got a couple things down there, but you can have a protein drink instead of eating some kind of snack. So if you find after an hour you're still hungry, if you want to just drink a protein drink, a 1 cup protein drink, you can do that. Okay? The main goal is you're going to eat what you can eat in 15 minutes. It's going to be a very set portion. And then an hour later, if you don't feel satisfied, you can then eat again. But every time you eat, it's restricted to 15 minutes and 1 cup or 4 to 6 ounces. Okay, is that clear to everybody?
On the yogurt and cottage cheese, it says half cup, so.
Okay, yeah. Just a half of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, because you're eating a lot of protein at this point, if you have constipation, which a lot of people deal with, she says a half an apple with skin mid-morning or mid-afternoon could be helpful with that. Or you can take the Miralax and stir it into your liquids and use that if you want to. But make sure you're still getting your 64 ounces of fluid a day. Alrighty? And there's also a lot of good teas that are herbal laxatives, and you can have those. And there's some recipes there, some breakfast burritos, some egg bakes, some Parmesan tuna patties, things like that. She has a lot of recipes in her book that you can use. Okay, but you've got to get the idea of the kind of foods you're going to be having. Okay. So the next stage is day 4. Now you're going to your firm proteins, which is ground meat. You can cook it with some seasoning on it, but I don't want any sauces. You can have shellfish like shrimp, you can have salmon, you can have halibut, you can have veggie burgers, you can have tofu if you like vegetarian food. So you're going to add a little more firm meat, and the same rules apply. Measure your portions. They need to be either 1 cup in volume or 4 to 6 ounces in weight. And you can bring back in some of the previous foods. If you want to have a soup that you had on day 1 for lunch, that's fine. You can use that, okay? But you're not going to be thinking about food as breakfast, lunch, and dinner, okay? You're going to be thinking about eating what you can eat in 15 minutes. Then you're going to wait at least an hour, and then you can eat again. But you can't drink 30 minutes before or after a meal. Okay, so that gives you that hour to drink while you're in there. Okay, so, and again, have a protein drink rather than reaching for something else if you need a snack. So, hopefully, some of the things you'll begin to feel at this point is your carb cravings should start to decrease at this point. So those cravings for that, those cookies and cakes and candy bars and that kind of stuff, that should start to ease a little bit. I want you to always start with your protein, follow your fluid restrictions, and you'll begin to feel a little tightness, hopefully, after eating a few bites of firm protein. The kind of tightness you felt right after surgery. And that's when I want you to stop eating, okay? As soon as you feel a little tightness, stop eating, okay? And if you don't feel that by 15 minutes, then stop at 15 minutes. All right? Any questions about day 4? Okay, and she's got some other recipes down here. Okay, so now, very quickly, you're at day 5, the last day of this. That's when you're going to introduce solid protein like poultry, beef, pork, again without sauces, anything from the previous days, and again, eat as much as you want in 15 minutes and then get rid of that. Okay? Still no liquids before, during, and after the meals. Wait an hour before you have another meal. And then continue to avoid your fruits and vegetables until the next day. When you get to day 6, then you can go back to eating the fruits and vegetables the way you did before surgery. And as she said, this isn't the end of anything. This is the beginning of eating for the rest of your life. Hopefully, at this point, what you will have discovered is that you feel satisfied much more quickly than you thought you did, that you don't have to eat until you feel restriction. You learn to eat until you feel satisfied, and then you stop. And you stay away from the slighter foods that are going to just turn into sugar, because that's going to keep your body, if you're not eating those foods, your body's going to burn this fat, not the fat, or not the food you're putting in your body. Yes?
I guess I'm confused about the 15 minutes, because I thought I'd always learned that it took 20 minutes for your stomach.
This is not the way you were taught to eat after surgery. Okay? This is completely separate. This is not designed for you to lose weight while you're on this diet. This is 5 days only, and it is for you to learn how it feels when you use your tool correctly. Okay? This is not the way we taught you to eat. And you're going to go back to the way we taught you to eat day 6. Yes?
Okay, this might be a dumb question, but okay, so when we have the meals, we're supposed to have 3 meals. If we need a meal, like you say, wait an hour, and then if we need another meal. So if we need those meals in between the 3 meals, are they all supposed to be protein shakes, or can they be another cup of soup?
No, it can be another cup of soup.
Okay.
She wanted to know if you're supposed to stick to 3 meals a day. If you're feeling hungry after you eat breakfast in 15 minutes, say you have that protein smoothie that she's got in there, if you have that and within an hour you're feeling hungry, then you can have another meal. If you're not hungry, then you can wait until lunch and have lunch, okay? When you feel hungry, that's when you want to eat, but you have to follow the rules. You can only eat 1 cup or 4 to 6 ounces, and you have to not drink for 30 minutes before you have that, okay? I'm not saying I want you to eat every hour. Do not misunderstand. The goal of this is to teach you that it doesn't take as long as you think to take in enough food so that you feel satisfied. And hopefully, in that hour that you're waiting, you'll discover, well, I'm not really hungry. I have this amount of food, and I'm not hungry. And it will help you to relearn how it feels right after surgery. It lets you know what, my stomach isn't so big. I can take a small amount of food and be satisfied with that. Because you're not going to be eating the things that light up those dopamine receptors in your brain that make you say, oh, I want more of that, those carbohydrates, those sugars, okay? Sugar is addictive. That's why they put it in your food, because they can sell more food. But sugar is addictive, and so these first few days, you're not going to be eating any of that. You're going to be eating, well, in this whole 5 days, you're not going to be eating sugar. Okay? Yes?
Can I recommend a good book? It says weight loss surgery does not treat food addiction, and it kind of goes with the sugar addiction, and once you have a trigger food, it kind of causes you to backslide, so this is a good.
Okay. She has a book called Weight Loss Surgery Does Not Treat Food Addiction. Who is the author of that?
Connie Stapleton.
Connie Stapleton, by Connie Stapleton. And it addresses those issues that, that surgery doesn't.
weight loss surgery does not treat food addiction.
Weight loss surgery does not treat food addiction by Connie Stapleton,
PhD.
PhD. Not just somebody off the street, somebody that's actually studied it. One of the speakers I'm going to have come later in the year is a lady who's a microbiologist and a neuroscientist, and she has had the surgery. And she is going to talk about her journey and what she's learned. And I think you'll find her very interesting, Dr. Martha Katz. So
when would she come? You don't know yet.
I'm not sure yet. I'm just trying to set up a date with her. But yeah, she's fascinating to listen to. But yes, we all know that there are food addictions out there, but usually there are things that are from sugar, fats, and salts. So yes.
I'm not exactly sure how to ask this, but this is better than trying to go on the liquid diet that we did pre-surgery if we want to try to lose some weight and get our stomach back in.
This is not designed for you to lose weight on these 5 days. It is designed to teach you, again, about portion control and about how to eat correctly in order to feel satisfied. Somebody in the support group one time said to me that they had read a book, and the thing that jumped out at them in this book was, food is not your friend. And that's the truth. Okay?
Is there any time we should go back to that, trying to just do a liquid diet?
I would think if the dietitian feels that that would be beneficial for you, but I would want to talk to them first. Because the liquid diet you do before surgery is geared to decrease the size of your liver, specifically to make your surgery safer and easier for the surgeons. And I don't really like people doing that unless they're under medical management, because you can throw your whole metabolic system off. If you don't have any stored glycogen in your liver and you go on that protein diet, you could get yourself into trouble. Okay, so that's not what it's designed for. I have a lot of people ask that. Well, why don't I just do that pre-op diet again? Well, that was done for a specific reason. It's not something you want to do on a daily basis. I have people that think, well, if 1 week is good, maybe I should do 3 weeks before surgery. And it's like, no, I don't want you doing that. The doctors know what they're doing. Listen to them. So I would not want you to do that unless the dietitian. The first thing you should do is meet with the dietitian and make sure what you're putting in your body is what you should be putting in your body. The biggest reasons that I see people regain is they're drinking with their meals. They get back into drinking with their meals. They start eating the wrong foods. They start snacking. They use protein bars as a meal, or in between meals. They start eating protein bars in between times, thinking that's all protein, but what they don't see is all the carbs that are in that. So those are things you've got to really avoid. Those rules are there for a reason. The not washing all the food on through, the eating your protein first. Those are all there for a reason. They're all based on science. They're not based on the old thinking, which is calories in, calories out. That's not what it's about. It's all about insulin. Yes?
Where does in the 5 days like Greek yogurt fit in?
Greek yogurt, I think, is in those first 2 days. I think you can have that.
Okay.
Let me go back here. Yeah, you can have yogurt in those first 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you still want to get your 60 grams of protein in a day. That's still important. She wanted to know if you needed to still track your protein. Yes, I still want you to get your protein in, because you don't want to lose any muscle mass during this. You want to maintain your muscle, so you've got to have the protein. That's what your muscles are made out of. Yes.
Does
not taking vitamins cause you to gain more weight,
It can. Sometimes your body starts craving things because it needs certain things. So yeah, I would, you should be taking your vitamins every day for the rest of your life. And I know a lot of people stop that. And that's a whole nother support group. Where we can talk about deficiencies. And the single biggest thing is people stop taking their calcium, and then 6 years later, they start breaking bones. So if you've stopped your vitamins or you've stopped your bones, you are putting your health at risk. Please start taking them. Yes?
How many grams of fat and carbs should we have?
It doesn't make any difference. I don't want you counting calories. I don't want you counting those kinds of things. Just, no. If you follow this program, you're not going to need to worry about that.
But as a general rule, after the 6th day,
Well, our rule has always been 1 gram of carb per 1 gram of protein. Okay?
It all depends on your goals, right? Okay. Just to answer the nutrition component of this, everybody's here with a different purpose. The main reason we created this is for you to kind of reset. Oh, thank you. You know, that stomach needs to come back in shape. Sometimes we get into the habit of overeating, and with time, your stomach is a muscle. If you overeat all the time, with time, it's going to stretch, it's going to hold more. So the sense of satisfaction kind of, loses with time. And that, on top of the fact that you're maybe choosing different food choices that you were in the beginning, where you're very accountable with your weight loss, affects your weight gain. So most of you will be like in a healthy way, maybe not feeling the restriction. You need to get that pouch reset, and then you use this liquid diet as a tool to reshape your stomach back into its normal size. And if it's the case that you're using this because you've regained weight, and on top of the fact that you want to feel that restriction, you want to control your calories, and you want to lose those extra 20, 30 pounds, 15 pounds that you gain, then you're looking into your macros and you're looking into the actual intake and those numbers, and that's what I can help you out, and that's on a one-to-one basis. So just to not get you confused, back to your question about your liver reduction diet, the main purpose is to deplete your glycogen stores from your liver, so that liver is decreased in size so you can have the surgical procedure done. What happened with that is when you're going through that stage, you're kicking what we call, it's going to kick ketosis. It's a stage where you're depleting your glycogen stores, and if it happens for at least 2 days, that you're restricted, and those glycogen stores are depleted, you're going to start burning fat for fuel. So some of you might experience weight loss, a change in taste, etc. What happens is that you go through this surgical procedure and you're going to remain on ketosis because what? We fix restriction, and you need to get enough protein, right? And those carbohydrates are at the bottom. What happens is if you go and you use this liquid diet and you're mindful of your macros and your carbohydrates and proteins and fats, then you can get to that ketosis stage again. But I would like you that if you want to get to that stage, to come to either me or Annie. We'll discuss that and we can make it happen. We can help you out with tools and medically manage that way. Does that make sense? So numbers, ketosis, because it's a huge word here now that we're getting into the liquid diet. If you're reading out there, ketosis, you need a restriction about 30 grams to get that glycogen stores depleted. So you need a depletion in your intake, so your body starts using what you have in your liver and your muscle that you store to then get that fat for fuel mode active again. And that's where you maximize your fat metabolic rate or your fat loss. So not to get confused or think that this is wrong, because we normally think of ketoacidosis, which is those type 1 diabetes, and that's the risk, and that's just a very unregulated stage of ketosis. Most of you are not going to get into that, but if you do have diabetes type 1, we will need to take a look at that and then advise you. Does that make sense? So ketosis, 30 grams. If you want to lose weight, that's I think it's anywhere you read, that's the number you're gonna get, anything from 20 to 30 grams, and it's gonna take anything from 2 days to about 10 days to get that stage active again. Everybody's different, insulin resistance is there, so everybody's metabolic rate is different, and then that's where we take a close attention to.
Yes.
On page 5 at the top, this pumpkin and sausage soup, do you happen to know how many servings, like how many 1 cups? And then also I noticed heavy cream and sour cream. Is that just for only day 1 and 2 and don't ever eat
I
it
would
again?
probably modify that a little bit. But good fat is fine. Healthy fat is fine. The idea of low-fat diets came from a misconception, and they've learned that low-fat diets are not helpful. They don't help you lose weight. They used to say if you ate fat, you were going to get fat. Well, that's not true. But if you've had a bypass and you eat a lot of fat, it can cause dumping. So you want to stay away from anything that's going to cause you to dump. Now, most people, once they're a year or 2 out, that dumping has kind of gone away. But I don't know how much that makes.
Okay, and how would you modify this?
I probably wouldn't use, well, I'm severely lactose intolerant, so I use Fairlife milk. I replace things like cream, etc., with things that are lactose. Or you could use.
What about the Greek yogurt in this?
The Greek yogurt?
Instead of the cream?
Oh yeah, that'd be fine. Sure. I'm sure it'll alter the taste a little bit, but that's okay. People alter recipes all the time. I wouldn't worry about that. If you want to use Greek yogurt, go ahead and do that. That's always a good replacement for sour cream.
Okay.
And it says it freezes well, so
yeah,
if it's more than you need, you can freeze it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other? Yes.
The 80 organic section, is that in the can section or the frozen section?
You know, it's in the canned section, and it's usually not with like the canned vegetables. It's usually where, in my grocery store, it's on the same aisle as the soups, but it's kind of in a separate thing because it's organic soups, and it's where all the quinoa and those kinds of things are. It's a little more of the healthy section. Oh, I buy it at Hen House. Yeah, yeah. I don't have a Whole Foods close to me. I wish I did, but yeah, Whole Foods you can find it. Yes, Whole Foods has dropped their prices a lot, which is helpful. So yeah, but don't buy romaine lettuce, whatever you do. Yeah. Yeah, I had to throw out 2 heads of romaine lettuce this morning. I was watching the news, and they said, even if you don't think it came from that place, get rid of your romaine lettuce. So I did. I put it in my compost pile. So.
When is the tide sheet?
That's going to be in May. Yeah. Yeah.
Could you make a statement about liking and following Facebook so they can get updates on things that we post?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Maybe they're not all,
Yeah. How many of you are aware there's a support group online? It says Kansas City Bariatric Support Group. A lot of our patients are on there. A lot of other centers have patients on there.
For our Facebook page for information.
Oh, and we also have our Facebook page. Yeah, if you want information on what's coming up support group wise, go to the Facebook page for the Bariatric Center of Kansas City.
Like and follow.
And like and follow. Click on like and follow, and you can always see what the next support group is.
Okay.